Hello everyone and thank you much for watching. This is me, Mr. P, and this is another episode in a Proxmox home server series. In this video I'll show you how you can virtualize Open Media Vault NAS system inside your Proxmox, what you need to do to successfully pass through a hard drive, external hard drive, to that virtual machine which will run Open Media Vault, and how to set up Samba Share inside Open Media Vault to utilize Samba Share system within your home network. So let's begin. First thing what we need to do is to get ourselves Open Media Vault ISO file. I will leave a link to this page in description below for you to go and check it out, and this is the version we're going to use, which is 6.0.24 at the time of recording. It's actually almost a month ago that it's been released and modified, and as you can see it's been downloaded 9,422 times a week. So I'm going to leave a link to this page because by the time you're watching this video version might be different, so there's going to be a different folder name here. At the moment it's 6.0.24, so I'm going to click on that and it's going to open another page, and this is the file we're going to use, which is Open Media Vault version amd64.iso. I'm going to right click and choose copy link address. We'll go to a Proxmox instance and I'll select the storage unit that I'm using for all the ISO files, and I forgot to actually enable that, so just one quick thing to do. Here we go. So now we're going to go here and click on an ISO file. I'll need to click on a download from URL and paste the URL. Sometimes Proxmox will struggle to basically query the URL. If that happens, you just press escape, open the same thing again and try to query. Let's see if it's going to happen. No, it still struggles to retrieve the information. Actually, no, it did. And because I left download at the end of the URL, this is the file is saying that, oh, I'm going to download. You can rename that into anything you want. As you can see at the top, I changed mine to say OMV and the version. So I'm just going to say OMV, for example, version 6.iso. Don't forget to put ISO at the end or .iso, otherwise Proxmox will not use that file. I'm not going to download this because I already had that downloaded. I think yeah. Why it says, well, it's quite a while ago the actual file was generated. Anyway, I got the version downloaded already before recording this video. So I have ISO file of Open Media Vault. Next thing what we need to do is just quickly check the disk that we're going to try to pass through into this Open Media Vault virtual machine. I will click on my Proxmox node and then click on the disks. And this is a drive I'm going to use inside Open Media Vault. And this is 274 gigabytes saying here, but actually it's 256 gig hard drive, external hard drive. So this is the one we're going to use. So let's start creating Open Media Vault virtual machine. We're going to click on the blue button here at the top, create VM. And ID number is 100, that's fine because this is the fresh Proxmox install that I'm going to use with the upcoming videos inside this series of Proxmox home server. So I'm going to give a name, OMV-YT. Under OS, I need to make sure that I select the right location where I keep the ISO files, and then from the drop down, I will select my Open Media Vault ISO file. Under systems, everything can be left by default. Under disks, I will select the main storage, which is, again, I forgot to sort it out, so let me quickly do that. I forgot to select that local drive can store the disks or virtual drives for virtual machines. So that's why the list was empty. Now I can select local. 32 gigabytes by default, but definitely it can run on 8 gigabytes, even probably on 4. But 8 I would say is a safe bet for you to choose. And under SCSI, I will select SATA. From my experience, I noticed that with the SATA bus device connection, it runs a bit faster. SCSI is not the slow one, but SATA just has that a bit of a speed edge over SCSI. So that's the one we're going to choose. I'm going to choose SATA here. And everything else by default, I'm fine. Under CPU, I will give 2 cores. 1 core is okay, but 2 cores is better. Well, it's going to be slightly faster, but just let's say 2 is a minimum. Under memory, it tells you to use 2 gigabytes. You can change that to run at the 4 gigabytes, which is 4096 megabytes. And if you enable advanced option, you can choose the minimum, which is going to be 2048. So it's and the bullying device is on. That means that this virtual machine RAM can fluctuate between 2 gigs and 4 gigs usage, or you can go as minimum as 2 gigs, but as maximum as 4 gigabytes. Under network, we're going to leave everything by default. Under confirm, I see everything what's here, it's been configured. I will not start this virtual machine after created, so I'm going to leave this unticked. I'm just going to click finish. And right now Proxmox creating this virtual machine for me. So I'm going to wait for this virtual machine to be created. I can check that inside the logs to see if the virtual machine is be created. And I can see OK message shows up here at the end. So now I can select in this and it's ready to be started. But first thing, we need to make sure that external hard drive has been attached. One thing just to note that if, for example, you're setting this up and your main drive, which in my case, this is the one, it actually was selected as 8 gig. That is fine. That means that by attaching, for me attaching the external drive, which is a different size, I will not get confused during the installation process. I will show you where, because Open Media Vault will ask you which drive to use as your main drive to install the Open Media Vault OS. So this is 8, so that means I can safely go right now and attach external hard drive. Otherwise, I would install Open Media Vault first, shut it down, and then attach the external hard drive in the way that I'm going to show you now. So to attach the external hard drive, first of all, we need to make sure that it's actually been detected by the Proxmox system. I saw the drive showing up inside the disk list, so yeah, it's been detected, but I need right now to get this drive formatted and file system created, because we need to get part UUID number for this drive, which is a unique ID number of all the drives that is connected to this Proxmox instance. So first thing, if I'm going to write, for example, lsblk, I'll get the list of all the hard drives attached. And this is the one we interest, SDB. So this is the one we need to go for. So right now what I will do, I'll type cf disk space dash or slash dev slash SDB and press enter. And it's going to start setting up our hard drive or creating partition. So I'm going to choose default GPT. And then while I select only one option here, if you're trying to go and run this on a multiple drives, you're going to have more options. But right now, as we're only doing with SDB, only one option shows up. So make sure that new is selected. You can change the option using arrow keys, but I will make sure that new is selected and press enter. I will leave partition size unchanged, which is 256G. And then this is done, and I can see here part UUID number created. I can copy from here, but I can copy from another page, which I will show in a second. Now I need to select write and press enter and type yes and press enter. And that's it. The CF disk created the partition and made a file system inside. So now I can select quit and press enter. And now if I'll write lsblk, I can see that SDB is branched out into SDB1. That means there is a partition, and I can see that the size is same. So this is only one partition that takes entire disk. And now another command, if I'll put blkid, I can see SDB1 shows up here, and this is the part UUID number that I need to select and copy. Select the part UUID number without the quotes, the actual ID number, just not include the quotes. So that's done. Next thing, just quickly double check. If I'm going to go on this virtual machine, click under the hardware, I can see the hard drive is set to SATA 0. So now if I go into a Proxmox shell and then Proxmox terminal, I need to write the command, which is qm space set space followed by ID number of the virtual machine. In my case, it's 100. In your case, if you're setting up more than, or this is not your first virtual machine you're running, it might be 101, 150, or 250. Just make sure that you enter the right ID number of that virtual machine. Then space SATA 1. Because my main hard drive right now, which will have the Open Media Vault, is set to SATA 0 connection. One up will be SATA 1. If you're attaching another external hard drive, it's going to be SATA 2, SATA 3, SATA 4, SATA N. And then you just follow the same command, which will be dev disk by dash part UUID slash, and then paste that part UUID number that we copied and press enter. And if everything's done correctly, the message will show up, update VM 100. And this is a command which instructs the Proxmox to pass through the hard drive into this virtual machine. If you're doing the another drive, you can bring the same command back. Make sure first that you're going to change this number to 1 up. And then obviously delete the part UUID number and you need to put new ID number in here. So that's done. So now if I go into the Open Media Vault virtual machine, select hard drive, I can see that SATA 1 is being detected and being added. If I leave this like it is now, and in the future this Proxmox instance will start doing backups, the Proxmox backup system will back up that drive as well. But if you don't want that drive to be included because maybe your backup location, backup storage is not terabytes of size, you're basically running out of space there. You don't want this hard drive to be backed up as well. You can change that by double clicking, and then you can double click on this or select and then click edit, and then make sure you untick backup and then click OK. And now you can see it says backup is equals 0. That means it's going to be excluded from the backup run of the Proxmox main instant. So everything is set. We can click on the console and press start. And right now ISO file will be boot up and it's going to start into the installation process. As you can see at the bottom, it says automatic boot into 6 seconds. In 6 seconds, 5, 4, and it's going to select install automatically. While it's doing that, I can click on this arrow to expand this extra menu on the left and click on the arrows that goes diagonally. I can close that, and now I can control this is in like full screen mode. So we'll select English as the language. The location or country or territory is basically going to be United Kingdom. That's where I live. The keyboard layout, you can choose whatever keyboard layout you want. I'm going to go for British English. And right now, Open Media Vault is doing installation process. There's going to be a couple of prompts that you need to select and set up, like a password, etc. So I'm just going to meet you at each prompt when it's going to show up. So I'll see you soon. And here is the first prompt, which asks us to change the hostname. I can delete that and put OMV-YT, and I can put that .lan here, or if I'm not going to put my domain here and click continue, then I'll be asked to enter the domain. So I can put here LAN, or if I put .lan at the first page, this page will not show up. So I'm going to click continue on this, and let's see what's the next prompt. Next prompt is create a root password. This is a password to access CLI, the terminal. If you connect via SSH into the system, is not the Web-GUI password. Web-GUI password will be different. This is just purely if you want to connect via SSH into this Open Media Vault system. So I'm going to create a quick and easy to remember password. I press enter. Obviously, if you're setting up this for production, make sure your password is more secure than mine was, because mine was just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You need to do something more secure than that. So right now, this is where I was mentioning about if your main drive and external drive is in the same size, because it says that there's more than one storage device is detected. I'm going to click OK or continue, and it will ask me which one I need to select to install. This is where if you had external drive and the main drive set in the same size, you will struggle to figure out like which one it is. Yes, right, SDB is most likely it's going to be SDB as your external drive, and SDA will be the main drive. But just in case, if you're setting this up, I suggest to install Open Media Vault first, then shut it down, and then attach the external hard drive, and then you can install this. So I'm going to select 8.6 gigabytes as my main drive. I'm going to press enter on that, and Open Media Vault will carry on installing this. At the next prompt, we've been asked to select which archive mirror country we want to use for all the Debian packages to be downloaded and used for upgrade. I'm going to leave that as the United Kingdom. Press enter, and I will leave that as a default, which is deb.debian.org. I'm going to leave that. I'm going to press enter on that. Now it's asking me about the proxy stuff. I'm just going to ignore that and select continue. And it's going to carry on installing the Open Media Vault. The last prompt informing us the installation is completed. I can select continue, press enter, and right now Open Media Vault will restart. And once it's restarted successfully, inside the terminal, I will be presented with the IP address that I need to use to access the Web-GUI of Open Media Vault. So let's wait for Open Media Vault to shut it down. Well, do an auto restart. Open Media Vault successfully restarted, and the IP address has been presented is 186. So I can minimize that, go into a window mode and open a new tab and put my local IP address, which is 192.168.178, and then end up with 186 and press enter. And this is the Web-GUI login screen of Open Media Vault. I'm just going to increase the text size just a bit for easier to see. So username by default will be admin, and the password at the first setup is, or as soon as you install the Open Media Vault, the default password to log in is Open Media Vault. So I'm just going to click on this I to show you. So Open Media Vault. Literally, this is the text here on the left. Open Media Vault. This is the default password. I'm going to click Login. And right now I'm being logged in and I'm on the main dashboard page of the Open Media Vault. I'm not going to show you all the things that you can do in Open Media Vault. There is a lot of videos here. This is just a quick A to Z how to get this running. Or this video is a quick A to Z how to get this running on Open Media Vault and set up the Samba share. But if you want to dive deep into Open Media Vault system, there's a lot of videos online how you can set up the dashboard, the what's it called, FTP and FS and etc. stuff. I'm just going to give you a quick demo right now on the Samba side. One thing I want to show you straight away once you created all this, if you click on the cog here, change the password, change to something more secure than Open Media Vault that literally everyone in the entire world knows who downloads the Open Media Vault files or system or using it. The default password is Open Media Vault. You need to create for something more secure. I just put something very easy for me to type, but you need to do something more secure than I just did with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Anyway, let's click save and the password has been updated. Right now, let's start setting up ourselves a NAS, a Samba share. If I click on storage and click on disks, I can see that there is one disk here, which is 256 gigabytes, and this is external hard drive we mounted or we passed through into this virtual machine. So that is being detected. If I select that, I can do a quick wipe if I want to. So I'm going to say wipe. I know I already reformatted this inside the Proxmox system, but I like to do that inside Open Media Vault as well, just to make sure that Open Media Vault thinks that this is an absolutely blank hard drive. So I selected this and click yes. And I will run a quick one. Sometimes this deletion gives you errors. Don't worry. You just close this window and start the wipe again, and it's all going to be fine. So it's been done. At the end it says end of line. That means it's all done. I can click close. So right now this drive, as far as the Open Media Vault thinks, is completely empty and is actually external hard drive. So after disks, what I need to do, I click on the file systems here on the left, just below the storage. And here I need to create a file system. So I'm gonna just click on this, just make this one full screen. I'll click on the plus sign and choose create. Select the drive, which we just wiped, which is just clean. Select that, make sure I just leave this as ext4. There's a bunch of file systems you can choose. I'm going to leave this as ext4 and click save. And right now again, the Open Media Vault will go and do its bits, set up the file system inside this hard drive. When this is done, again, end of line message will show up, and now I can click close. And once that is done, the next page will ask you to select the file system we just created, which in my case is going to be this. And usage warning, the threshold, you can choose whatever you want between disabled and then 50, 75 and etc. I'm just going to leave 85 at the moment and click save. I'm going to say, do you really want to mount this drive? Yep, I want it. And right now the drive has been mounted. Once you do a significant change inside Open Media Vault system, the message at the top will pop up saying that the save changes pending. You need to click this tick and save it. Or if you put undo, it will revert back to the last save state. So I'm just going to say apply, click confirm, click yes. You can daisy chain the changes and then do a one mass sync of just pressing the tick. I tend not to do that because if let's say I will do 5 or 10 big changes in Open Media Vault and then I click save and something goes wrong, I need to troubleshoot 5 or 10 problems that I might created inside of Open Media Vault. So once I do one change, I do a save. When I do one change, I do a save. I know it's a bit more tedious and more time consuming, but I find this more safer for me to do. So we have our file system created and mounted. As you can see under mounted, it says tick. And I have usage and it says online here and everything is cheeky. So right now, let's go inside shared folder. I'm going to go and select the full screen again. I will click on the create shared folder. Let's give this a name. Let's give it a name Vault. Next, under file system, I will select the actual file system we created, which is ext4 at 250 plus-ish gigabytes hard drive, SDB1. Relative path, I'll leave that by default. And then I'll leave this by default, which is admin read and write access and user read and write access. And others can only read. So basically a guest, anonymous accounts. Save. And right now, as you can see, this is being created and it's again asking me to make a save into a state. I'm going to say, yeah, I'm happy with that and press yes. The actual save process takes a couple of seconds or so, so it's not a big deal. But here we go, I just press that and it's saved and it's all good. Please note that under reference is nothing here. So we have information below the name, device, relative path, absolute path, but nothing below referenced, and a comment obviously is blank because I haven't put any comments. But this one is blank, this column, because this means that this drive is being created, initiated, and the storage and folder and everything created, but it hasn't been used yet. So let's use this location. In my case, it's going to be Vault. I'm going to click on the services here on the left, and then I will go and click on the SMB, and then I can click here for settings or share, or I can click here on the left. And under settings, that's all I need to do is push the tick here under enabled, scroll down and press save. And once more, the yellow line should show up at the top, and I'll click yes, confirm, and yes, and yeah, just to save the settings. And again, like I said, save settings took like 3 seconds. So once the settings are saved, I can click right now on share, or if I click on SMB and I click on share this place. Now I'm going to click on a plus sign, and share is enabled. Select the folder Vault, which we created. Comment if I want, I can put any comments here, and the public access is going to be no. Public access is going to be no, and click save. And right now it's being added, and I need to obviously say that, yes, and yes. So right now we basically went from a drive attached, formatted, file system created, mounted, created a folder inside, and folder SMB the service activated, and the folder has been shared. And now if I'll go back to the storage and the shared folders, as you can see, reference right now has a tick. So once in the future, once you have a bunch of folders here and you want to delete one, you might wonder why the trash can is gray. And a trash can is gray because sorry, I just hit the mic. The trash can is gray because you're trying to remove the folder that is being referenced. You need to go and find which services out of FTP, NFS, rsync, and etc., which of them using that folder, terminate the service, terminate the access, basically close it. Let's say in my case would be completely close the Samba share, and then I can delete this folder. So everything's set up. Next thing, we need to click on users and create a user that we will use to access the Samba share. So I'm going to click on the users, then users on this option, click on a plus sign. Actually, let's go full screen. Click on a plus sign and click create. Username, Mr. P. Email, as there is no asterisks, it's not mandatory. Password, I'm going to just put again something super simple. And a group, I'll scroll down under U, there's an option users, and I'll click that, and the user is created. Scroll down and click save. So user has been added. Even Chrome browser shouts at me that I picked the too easy password. That's fine, I'm okay with that. And now I can press on a tick, confirm, and save the change that I just did, which I created a new user for the system. Let's wait for that to get saved. So that's saved. I think I'm ready to access this Samba share. So what I'll do now on a separate screen, I'm going to open the file browser. I just want to make sure that you won't be seeing anything that is sort of private. At the bottom, I'm by the way using the Pop! OS Linux distro on my laptop. So that's why I go into file browser like this, and under other locations, I can put the SMB share here. If you're using Windows, you obviously need to go via File Explorer and then add the map or map the network drive. In my case, it's going to be like this. I think it was 186. Press enter. I can see if Vault folder shows up. If I'm going to double click, it's going to say, do you want to log in? Anonymous, I can't do anything because I selected that anonymous can only read, but I want to read and write. So I'm going to select registered user, username Mr. P, and the password is going to be like this. And I want to remember this credentials forever. Click connect. And now I'm inside this folder, inside this network drive. It's automatically mounted here on the left. I can start creating a folders here. Subscribe, for example. I go in there and files showing up and everything is working great. If I go back into the Proxmox, while this Open Media Vault is still running, I can check the summary, which is going to be here. So it's using not even 2% of CPU and only less than a gigabyte of RAM. So setting up probably 2 cores and 4 GB of RAM probably is a bit of overkill. Obviously, if your system, or if you have enough resources in your system, select 2 CPUs and 4 gigs of RAM just for the temp measure. And once you use that for quite significant time, like a week, a month or so, you can see how far, like how much is actually tanking. So if I go, for example, obviously it's a new system, so the graph is not that more like informative, but I can say, for example, hour maximum. So maximum CPU, I was using 60, and that's probably during the period when the actual system was restarting or initiating or getting actually setup done. So that's it. Open Media Vault is created, and I can use this as my NAS system. Another thing that I forgot to mention, that as you can see, still working fine, no problems. But once you get everything set up, the next step you can do before setting everything up or after is up to you. If you go into Systems and click on Update Management and then Updates, it will give you a list of all the updates that Open Media Vault currently pending to install. So I'm going to just go all the way to the top. Everything is fine. How many is actually found? At the bottom, it's going to say 120. That's fine. I can click on this arrow, spinning a circular arrow to refresh the list. And once the list is refreshed, I can click on this arrow going down to install the packages. Let's click Confirm. Click Yes. During this process, the Open Media Vault connection or your connection by a browser to Open Media Vault might get terminated. Don't worry, that's quite normal. So if you get any white lines or any red messages showing up that something went wrong, just leave it running for another like a minute or so, and then basically close everything and try to log in again. And if it's still you can't log in, then this kind of thing happened to me a couple of times, maybe twice or 3 times. What I end up doing is going back to Proxmox, under Open Media Vault VM, I selected console, logged in with the username root, and a password is the one which set up during the terminal setup. And in here, I just typed reboot and press enter, and the system will get rebooted. So let's go back in here. So far, updates I can see are happening quite good. I don't see any errors or messages showing up, so I'm going to leave this running for now. And here we go. At the end, I got the message, end of line. That means all the updates happened. Another thing to point out, that once you do an update, and it's happened to me a couple of times, is that the list is still going to show 4. It's actually, previously when I done all this, it's still showing 4. That's fine. Everything's still going to function. You just leave this as it is. And basically once, like a week or so later, try to install again. Open Media Vault, just skip those updates as they're probably not mandatory or don't really require to do. Maybe this Open Media Vault still has more newer packages. I'm not a Linux expert. This is just my guess, but system works fine without even installing these 4 updates. So that's it. This is the Open Media Vault setup inside the Proxmox, running as a virtual machine. And just a last quick more check. How are we doing on CPU? So during the updates, we hit the 52, and on the RAM, we hit 2.2 gigabytes of RAM. And yeah, I think definitely 2 CPUs and 4 gigs of RAM probably is overkill for this. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you in another episode of the Proxmox Home Server series. Goodbye.